Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Ask data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the scariest part of your SEO strategy. The part many try to ignore, the graveyard of underperforming content. You see, we all love to create new, shiny, fresh content. It's published with hope. Yet there's a terrifying truth. Hidden deep within your sitemap are old, outdated pages that are still alive, sort of. The issue is those pages are not sitting there quietly. Oh no. They are slowly draining your crawl budget, sucking the life out of your link equity, and making Google think that maybe your website is a little on the low quality side. And what if I told you that many people here in the audience today are being haunted by the ghosts of your forgotten content? So today, or this afternoon, we're going hunting. We're going to find those old, outdated pages, that forgotten content, and we're going to do one of two things. We're going to either bring them back to life, or we're going to lay them to rest. But before we get into it, I want to ask you two questions. And I want you to think about this and be honest with yourselves. How much of your content is actually helping you? And how much is slowly killing your SEO performance? Because the reality is, underperforming content is harming you. So my name is Anna Morrish. I am the founder and MD of Quibble. You may notice I'm a horror fan, I'm a film buff. And yeah, I have been in the industry for over 10 years. So let's get started, let's go hunting. First off, I want to just say a couple of things. 90% of web pages do not get any traffic whatsoever. 90%. And that's awful. 60% never get any links. And we know that pages that have more referring domains, more links, are going to perform better, but 60% don't get any. And a third of all web content is deemed as zombie content. It's literally not helping you. It's not helping your performance at all. So what does all this mean? Very simply put, underperforming content is low quality content. In most instances, it's not original, it's not formatted correctly, it's not backed up with resources, it's not showcasing your knowledge and your expertise, and what we're talking about, EAT, in a lot of instances. Now, this isn't a talk all about EAT, there's been plenty of that, but yeah, expertise, experience, authority, and trust. If there's anybody in the audience, I'm hoping not, but if there's anybody that doesn't know about this, please go and have a look at that. So we know that underperforming content harms us, but how specifically? So there's a few things. It can harm our rankings, okay? So we're not going to get up in the results as much as we want to. It can cause confusion. So I recently went to purchase a product, actually for endometriosis. Needed some new pads, fits like a TENS machine. So I went on the website. I knew that they'd launched some other products, diet pills. Let's not talk about that bit. But yeah, so they were selling these. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to have a look. I'll dig around. And I couldn't find this product. I went to the About page and I was like, okay, well, they're still talking that they do this product. Went on their socials, they're still talking on the About section that they do this product. But they're not. They're literally just pushing these diet pills. So it can cause confusion. Don't do that. It's going to cause a disconnect, not just for the search engines and obviously the ranking side of things, but for users as well. So I now will not obviously purchase from them again. Another thing it can do is cause cannibalization. Okay, so we've seen it with clients as well that they've been pushing out a huge amount of content. There was one client that was doing 4 or 5 articles a week, and they'd been doing this for about 3 years, which is crazy. And they'd not kept a tally of the topics and all the stuff that they'd been covering. And we've found since doing the content auditing process that they've covered the same, not just topics, but specifically like the tiny detail stuff multiple times. So they're competing against themselves for the same rankings, for the same keywords. So it can result in cannibalization. It can also lead to pages becoming de-indexed. Okay, so if those pages are not relevant, they're deemed as low quality, may even also be doorway pages. Again, there's likelihood that they are going to be de-indexed. What does all of that mean? Conversions are going to be reduced. That's what we care about as a business, is conversions. Conversions is money. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that. And that in itself is quite scary stuff. Okay, so why are we churning out all of this stuff and not thinking about it? So what can we do? We can audit our web content. We're constantly doing technical SEO audits, but how many times are we doing content audits? Obviously for us, it's now becoming more of a frequent thing. But yes, this is definitely something we should all be looking at, and we should be pruning it regularly, okay? Maybe not necessarily with a chainsaw, hack and slash, but we should be pruning regularly. And what I mean by this is for topics that are changing quite frequently, it might be that you're in finance or you're in a legal industry, things like that, they're going to change quite frequently. There's always new laws and legislations coming out, so it might be on a monthly basis, but it's likely to be at least once a quarter that you're going to want to prune. We're going to want to update that content. For less frequent terms that are changing, Easter's coming up, you might have Easter guides or other buying guides. Again, do we need to update that content? Is it still relevant to us? Think your brand is always going to be evolving, your services, culture and everything else. And then for other content, we want to be pruning, maybe 1 to 2 times a year, okay? So I'm going to talk you through this process and how we do it, because we need to clearly focus on specific areas. We can't just do everything. If you've got a site with hundreds and hundreds of pages, you can't do this overnight. It's going to take time. And I'm sorry, it's probably going to be a little bit painful. So we need to focus. So we need to identify our content assets and gather the data. So I'm going to talk you through the process that we follow. It's not going to be obviously complete. They've only got a certain amount of time. But we use Ahrefs for this. We go to the site audit. We've got obviously audits for clients going and automating on an ongoing basis. But we can go to the site audit, Page Explorer once that site audit is complete. And then we're going to get all of the content pages. Following this, we're going to add those filters. We're going to export this data. So we want those filters. And then we're going to go to Google Search Console and we're going to export this data as well. So in this instance, you can see here we've done the last 3 months. If you have a fairly medium site, that's going to be fine. If you have a small website, you might want to extend that data over a 6-month period. If you have a much larger site, you're getting lots of traffic, or maybe you're in the pruning stage, you might want to just do the 1 month. We're going to export those pages and we're going to merge that data. So this is a working sheet, so obviously blurred this. But you want to download all of this. You want to put this, you've got Google Search Console data in there as well. And then we're going to want to add some additional tabs to this. Now, you don't have to work in a spreadsheet. You can upload this and put this into Notion. There's obviously lots of different systems that you can use thereafter, and automation and workflows and things as well, which I will mention in a moment. But in terms of the tabs that we want to add, you want to add a tab for when the content was published, when it was last updated. You also want to know, okay, well, what category is this? What kind of topic are we covering? So again, we can start looking at the clusters of the content or topic clusters, so we can go through that, make sure we're not covering the same topic twice. What I would also add is a rating tab at the top. So we're going to rate the content from 1 to 10. 10 being, it's amazing, we're not going to touch it, we're going to leave it alone. 1, it's absolute shite, we're going to remove it. So we want that as well. And we're going to analyse and then we're going to take action. So what we do at this point is split it in 2. Because again, let's say we want to focus. So we're looking for content with a low converting potential as one side of things, and then we're going to look at the high converting potential. So high converting potential isn't just your service and product pages, it might be some articles as well, because you've got to consider the whole buying journey, okay? That blog might provide information that's going to lead them to make a purchase later on. So don't just disregard blogs and think we're just going to delete the whole thing. And these are the actions that we're going to take. Now, for the low converting pages, it's likely we're going to do one of these actions. So we're going to delete it, redirect, or we're likely going to repurpose it. For content that we're going to be leaving that still has the high converting potential, one we'll leave, might update it, or we might rewrite it as well. Now, as I mentioned, we use a Notion system. So it does a lot of the automation in terms of like filtering of what action we're going to take. Doesn't always get it right, because we might find actually some of the high converting potential pages are still not working very, very well. So we still need to go through that process, but we have a free checklist that you can get access to that will take you through the workflow of the questions that we ask when we're looking at that content, okay? I will be putting this out on social as well, so do connect with me on like LinkedIn and Twitter. But yeah, so it will go through the work list or workflow, and then it will also tell you what action you should be taking, and then the activity thereafter. But for low converting potential, the dead weight that we want to get rid of, we're looking for pages that don't rank, that are getting very few clicks, that are also getting no links to them as well. So no referring domains. Really, really simple. So this, as I say, this is the first thing we do if we're going to get rid of that dead weight, and we're going to delete it. Okay, simply put. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to look for pages that don't rank, get few clicks, but do have links. But what we're going to do is look at those links. So again, it's going to take time. So we need to have a look. Are they good quality links? If they are, we're going to redirect them into those high converting potential pages. If not, delete. And finally, the next lot of content we're going to be looking for are the ones that don't rank, get few clicks, but maybe have some useful information on. I mean, this is simple stuff, right? So we're going to take that information, we're going to then repurpose it onto those higher converting potential pages, and then we may delete or redirect, obviously, if they have links. Now, it might sound like I'm asking you to store off your right foot. I promise you I am not. I know that you've spent a lot of time, money, and effort creating that content, and it can seem like a hard thing to let that go, like I'm literally asking you to store off a limb. But if it's holding you back, why would you keep it? Get rid. This is an example of us following this process, okay? So starting to get rid of that content, and then also identifying other content that we can update, repurpose, and improve. So this was just before Christmas, but you can see it's a nice trending graph. It's starting to go up. It's improving, okay? So it does work. Not only this, so obviously that's our example, HubSpot saw over 100% increase when they actually culled a lot of their content, okay? So it works. So that's the content that we're getting rid of, that we're laying to rest. But how do we find the content that we want to bring to life? Obviously focusing on a few elements, not getting overwhelmed. Well, first off, remember that 50% of your top ranking pages are going to decline. They're going to lose that organic traffic. They decay over time. So there's a few things that we want to identify first. Again, focusing on just a couple of core things. We're going to identify URLs that peaked within the last 1 to 2 years. So this is where we might add a couple of additional tabs in that spreadsheet or in that Notion list that we've created. So we're going to have a look at those first. We're going to look at updating them potentially, because obviously we're going to go through that rating process and that checklist that we have in place. So this is an example of an article that we had created. So we're at the bottom here. So we're position 3, but we used to be and held the top position for this particular term for years, for ages, since 2020. So when we was reviewing it, we thought, okay, we've updated it once before. Does it actually do anything? Is it a high converting potential page for us? No. Is it something we really want to focus on? Web design? No. Our focus is SEO, content, PPC. So at that point in time, we decided not to prioritise that page. We still went through the process of rating it, so we can obviously prioritise and put it into the action plan, but we decided to leave at that one. But then we also want to find pages that were positioned or are currently positioned 6 to maybe 20 for valuable keywords. So again, pages that are or have a high converting potential, and we're going to focus on those. And when we're looking at obviously updating the content, there's a few simple things that we can do. This isn't rocket science, and I am trying to keep it as light as possible because I know it's late in the day. But a couple of simple things that you can do. Now this is a stat from Ninja Marketing, and they found that they were able to increase organic traffic by just simply putting together a proper internal linking strategy. That's basic, so why are we not doing it? And that's the thing, the content gets forgotten. You create new pages, you don't add necessarily the right links to the high converting potential pages. So let's keep on top of that as well. Not only that, another simple fix. So this one is from Search Engine Journal, and they saw a 30 to 60%, who have reported this, for literally just updating meta titles. Because again, they get forgotten. We create all this, fancy meta strategy, but we don't review it regularly enough, and we don't focus our efforts in the right places in a lot of instances. So really simple things that we can do. And another stat as well, I don't want to bombard you with too many stats, but HubSpot found that, over 70% of blog traffic came from updated posts. What's more, 90% of those pages actually got in conversions and engagement, so it actually led to sales. Okay, and that's old content. So again, why are we creating new content when we've got really good content there that just needs updating? Improve on the search intent that's constantly evolving. And if you do this, the results will speak for themselves. Okay, and it's this is a very, very classic thing where you've got 80% of your web traffic is going to come from 20% of those pages. Okay, so focus your efforts. Don't think you've got to do everything all at once, and do focus on those high converting potential pages. As I mentioned, I'm a horror buff. If you haven't necessarily seen all of those films, I really hope that a lot of you have. Here is a list, the most important list of all for today. Your weekend's worth of homework. And thank you.